Recording in progress. Can you guys hear me, by the way? Can you give me a thumbs up? Just so I know that you can hear me. Awesome. Hey guys, hey guys. Hey guys. Oh my God, so many cool people. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining. I'm so excited for this conversation. You all don't even know. I've been waiting for this conversation. Basically, I've had this conversation happening in my mind throughout the conference. And since I got back from the conference, and hey guys, on the live, Instagram live, hello, I love you. I'm also live streaming on Zoom right now. So I may be kind of like looking this way and that way. Thank you so much for joining. So this has been, even though the conversation has been in my mind, I woke up this morning and I said, maybe I'll have a webinar on this one day, but I woke up this morning and I just felt that this needed to be shared. And I'm so glad to be seeing so many of you here and all across the different live streams that I'm doing. Yes, it was amazing. It was amazing. Wasn't it an amazing time? It was an amazing time. And specifically, the reasons that I called this meeting is because I left so inspired. Okay, obviously, when you get into a vortex of 12, or actually I heard like 13,000 people. Please turn off your cameras, you guys, those of you that are on the Zoom. Turn off your cameras if that's okay. It's just distracting me, that's all. But I love you, Todd. Good to see you here. And I was so extremely inspired, obviously also a lot of observations because I've attended 2017, the MAPS 2017 conference. And obviously, I noticed some things, from the vantage point of being 8 years in the field, in the integration field, and creating the community, creating communities and creating conversations. And obviously, like the first difference in the conference was the size. Okay, so there were like multiple presentations, like 5, 6, I think 7 conversations, 8, I don't even know how many, to be honest, presentations going on at once. It was a massive, I've never been to like a conference hall that big before. There were celebrities, there were, some of the same speakers, okay, from 2017. But also there was an addition of a few representations of grassroots leaders, which I really enjoyed seeing that. There was a ceremonial tent that was put on by Chakruna Institute, bringing indigenous elements into the community. So they had like prayer circles and hape circles and cacao. And so that was different. And then there were 2 days of workshops and pre-conference. So that was Monday and Tuesday. And I decided to, they were all sold out. I just decided to just get into the hall and see if I can make my way, meander into any one of these workshops, which, of course your girl did. So I meandered in there and I chose to meander into an Indigenous elder panel. A panel that was held by First Nation people and Mazatec people, and maybe there was another person on the stage. I missed the beginning, so I missed the introductions, unfortunately. But that panel, which was, again, this was like for me, the introduction to the conference on this week, really left an impression on me. And I feel like, I really carried it with me all week. And it's really shaped the way that I viewed the conference. And I think it's really due to this panel that it felt really important for me to get on the gram, on the live today, and just share like what I observed. And I just want to also share that, again, these are just my observations. I'm a woman living in Costa Rica, Shiri Gadasai, some of us, we know each other. And, again, these are very subjective observations, and I just want to make that very clear. And so in this panel of the Indigenous elders, the topic was getting into right relationship. Okay, getting into right relationship. A lot of us have heard this term before. being in right relationship with the medicine and right relationship with psychedelics. And but they specifically, when I say they, I say that the First Nations, the indigenous people, the elders that were on the stage, there was a grandma named Mona and an abuela, and they shared that they are resisting the so-called psychedelic renaissance, they literally said straight out, they said, we resisted when your people came into our jungles back into 1940, 1950, we resisted the hippies, and we're resisting this as well. Okay, they named a few movements, and they basically their stance was that they're resisting this entire renaissance because it is replicating ill, hyper-individualistic, non-inclusive, and oppressive systems. Now, they didn't say it this way. This is how I'm interpreting it. But they are resisting it because they feel like there is no consent for the use of their medicine. Consent has not been granted. There were Mazatec representatives on that stage. The Mazatecs that have been the keepers of the mushrooms, the sacred mushrooms, for millennia. And they were sitting on the stage and very passionately sharing that they're feeling that their mushrooms, their sacred medicine, their sacrament is being exploited, and that the current relationships that are formed through the Renaissance, again, because they're ill relationships, they're forming ill relationships are being formed with the land and with the mushrooms, and these ill relationships are making the medicine itself sick. And think about that. They feel like the medicine itself is becoming sick. And they said another really powerful point. They said, we don't even know what psilocybin is. We don't know what psilocybin is. We know what the sacred mushroom is. We don't know any isolated molecules. We don't know what you're doing in your lab. We know what the sacrament is and how we've been using it in our shamanic ways for these many years. And you are not the medicine. You know how we have this saying, and by the way, myself included, I kind of fell into that trap for a while. You know how we always say, we are the medicine, we are the medicine. Well, their stance was actually, you are not the medicine. How self-absorbed can you be? You are not the medicine. The community is the medicine. Okay, the community, it's the return to the people, the return to one another, the return to the land. And, there were so many other things that were said in this panel, but, just for lack of time, I'm just going to focus a little further. There was no way for me to attend all the presentations, and, I'm not exactly familiar with all the different ways that MAPS is operating. By the way, I am a big fan of MAPS. I know that they're getting a lot of they do have a lot of criticism, a lot of naysayers about the way that they're kind of trailblazing and shaping the field. And in some ways, this conversation today or these observations are also some type of a critique to MAPS. And with that, I want to say, I'm so grateful to this organization. I feel like a lot of us are here because of them, because of their very smart ways that they have learned the industry from the inside out, and they are using strategy. You can agree with the strategy or not, but they're using very specific and very what can I say? It's a strategy that actually works, right? It made a huge impact on bringing the psychedelics to the mainstream, on making the medicine more accessible to the people. Hold that thought. And I do, I think a lot of us, we owe them a lot. Okay, I just want to say that. And with that, again, so here's what I witnessed. And again, I'm just saying, I don't have access to MAPS's accounting. I don't know what. These are my very limited perceptions, okay, of this little human here in Costa Rica. So as mentioned, this elder workshop that I meandered into because it was sold out. This workshop had a price tag of, I don't know exactly how much, but I know that the average for these workshop was, I think, about 283 something US dollars. So a few $100 price tag to attend, to be able to step into the room of this panel that was comprised of indigenous elders and indigenous people, First Nation people. The room was, I don't know how big, maybe 200 people, very small compared to the, 3,000, 4,000, 5, I don't know how many thousand person capacity that, of course, Aubrey Marcus got, or Aaron Rodgers, the athlete, got, or Rick Doblin received, right? So I observed that this very important panel was placed in a small capacity room. And the days before the conference, this wasn't even actually like part of the conference itself. And with a price tag of a few $100s, if you were lucky enough to get a seat in that room. And then I was wondering, first of all, who are these people being paid? Where's all the, all these hundreds of dollars, all these, a couple of hundred tickets were sold. I don't know how many, but is the money going into the community, into these communities, into these people, or is it going into the MAPS bank? Why are they not on the main stage, like front row center in the main hall, in the middle of the conference, like keynote speakers? Basically, like, why are they keeping these conversations kind of like in a back room door? I literally felt, and they were, there was one man on the stage that was very blunt in what he was sharing, a First Nations man. And, just as like, I was like having these thoughts in my mind, and then he kind of affirmed them. Like, I literally, like, I was watching them speak. And then I thought, man, these people are fucking being tokenized. Like, these, pardon my French, with all due respect, of course, to the indigenous, I felt like this was like the token indigenous person, the token indigenous panel being brought to MAPS to kind of just like check off, oh yeah, we had indigenous representation at MAPS. And I felt like they were being exploited. Okay. And that's what I felt. And, there was like a ceremony tent, and a Brazilian shaman in full regalia was sitting in one of the areas of the conference and blowing hape up of people, attendants' nose. And I was like, I swear, it looks like they brought a man in a costume. I mean, of course he's not, but like, just so people can have an experience of sitting with a Brazilian shaman and having hape blowed up their like in a tent in a psychedelic science conference. Like, that just seemed very odd and bizarre, and like a pick up, okay, like a picture opportunity. So that's what I was observing. And then, yeah, I was just wondering again, like, what type of is this like real inclusivity? Basically, is this authentic inclusivity, or is this a big like smoke and mirrors type of situation? Okay, so this is how I walked into the conference, basically. And with that, it got me thinking about accessibility. Like, I learned in one of the presentations by there was an indigenous young woman. I wish I had her name, but she spoke so beautifully about the accessibility issue, and she had a slide up spelling out, the average annual income of an indigenous family in the United States is $45,000 annual. Now you do the math, it comes out to 3,000 something monthly. Okay, a lot of us are paying that much, at least just for our rent. And basically, how can these people that have been oppressed, that the United States, I was raised in the United States, this is obviously not just like a US thing, but a lot of this is pointing to the US right now, because MAPS is an American company, from the United States. I founded my businesses in the US, so maybe there are some of you that are joining from other parts of the world. And of course, these systems are, they're not just in the US, but The First Nations people are in the land that is called the United States, and how exactly can they afford treatment, which, as we know, that MDMA-assisted psychotherapy, 3 rounds of treatment, according to the clinical protocol, is $12,000 a pop, and for the protocol. And then how exactly are they going to afford that? And number one, and then number two, how can they also afford training? You know, let's say that they decide that, okay, we're going to have, you know, our people buy into the Renaissance. We want to be trained according to these methods that are being proven and shown as so incredibly effective. We want to try that too. Can we have our people get trained so they can become therapists, so we can try your healing model on our people and help our communities heal? Well, you know exactly how much trainings cost. And I'm saying this, by the way, with full acknowledgement that I have a training program, and I'm going to speak about that in a second, about what this observation did to me. And can indigenous tribes afford to take a training so they can heal themselves? And I say heal themselves, okay, because, you know, some people might say, well, you know, they can come and be healed by, you know, why do they need people from their own nations to heal them? There are so many other therapists. Well, let me tell you something so beautiful. There was a beautiful moment in the conference that I witnessed. There was a panel, it was a panel. It was like kind of like a panel, an event. It was in a big room full of BIPOC only, BIPOC. It was a BIPOC panel, full BIPOC panel, all Afro-Americans, doctors, community organizers, artists, and an entire room full of mostly BIPOC people. Well, I'm Middle Eastern. I do, you know, I'm a white passing. I do consider myself as BIPOC to a degree. I'm an immigrant. And I've always had such deep love for Afro roots movements. And I just felt like I needed to be there. Okay. Needed to be there to support, witness. It felt like a historic moment. And it was beautiful, beautiful to watch this conversation that they had on the stage, where these people were openly conversing about and stating their mistrust of the whiteness taking over the Renaissance, about their need to have spaces to heal. Like there was one man that literally was saying, you know, and, you know, with like the beautiful like Afro accent, you know, the beautiful dialect that they have with the passion, you know, there ain't no way that I'm going to be stepping into a white door with a white office, with white windows, with a white man in a white coat and everything white, and they're going to help me heal from my cultural oppressive trauma. You know? Yeah. And then basically, like, you know, they need their spaces. They're claiming their spaces to heal. They need their own healers. And I thought, well, where are their healers? Where are the trained healers? You know, how many BIPOC therapists are actually trained and available to serve their people? And how can, well, son, let me tone it down. I feel like I'm kind of, woo, I'm on a soapbox here, you guys. You can see how like I'm so hot from this. I'm just, okay, let me tone it down a bit. How many BIPOC therapists are actually trained and available to serve their communities? How many? Okay, not many at all, not many at all, compared to the deep healing that is needed in these communities from hundreds and hundreds of years of violation, abuse, and oppression. And basically, how can we support we as in people that are helping shape the Renaissance? You know, I've been creating my own systems in the field for 8 years now. Okay, my own community solutions, businesses, organizations, courses, programs. How can we, as people that are shaping the Renaissance, contributing, how can we support and help these communities rise? Okay, how can we come into right relationship with these communities, which, you know, with our brothers and sisters? So just being in that room and witnessing the conversation really touched me. And it just like, it felt like I looked around and was like, wow, yes, thank you. Like, I don't even remember seeing this. What this definitely did not happen in 2017. Like, this was a completely novel experience. There was an actual safe space for people to have these conversations and openly speak about psychedelic use and their suggested approaches. So I absolutely loved that and felt very inspired by it. And basically, like, walking around, I went in with like full intention, I didn't, to connect with people in the conference. And I was very open to just kind of like observing, again, through all these like different conversations that I attended, the panels. Hey guys, by the way, on the Instas, thanks for joining. We're streaming live and Zoom as well. So what is our community hungry for? I was like observing what is needed right now. What is the message of the 2023 conference? What are the emerging themes? What is the community needing? This is how I got started, by listening. This was 2015, September 2015. I sat in a conference in Los Angeles and heard the word integration for the first time. And I heard it, and I literally heard like, this is what the community needs right now. And I felt very inspired by that, to just get up and create specifically in the niche of integration. This is how, I've built everything I've built over these years, like one by one. This is how everything was built, through that spark. And I went and I was like, my ears and heart open. Like, I wanted to hear what is being needed right now. What are we hungry for? What do my people need? And I observed two main things. Okay. Two main things that our community is hungry for. Number one, inclusion and right relationship. At the end of the conference, I'm not sure if any of you saw, maybe some people put it on the live. I think I put a portion of it on my stories and Instagram. But at Rick Doblin's closing ceremonial speech, when everyone were huge theater, I don't even know, maybe 10,000 people in the theater standing and like giving him a standing ovation, a well-deserved standing ovation. And then when everything settled down and he was about to say his closing remarks, there was the sound of a beating drum and a group of, I think some of them were indigenous. I think it was a mixed group, some indigenous, some BIPOC, a group of protesters with a big drum were banging and, creating, calling for attention and protesting the movement, protesting the entire movement. And again, this is like at the end of a whole week. Everyone is just there's a complete hybris high in the room. And and there was this tiny group just saying, stop. We're going to enter this party and we're going to say what we have to say. And there was a 10-minute exchange of this group asking Rick Doblin to let them on the stage, demanding to let them on the stage so they can share their voices and share what they have to say. And eventually, obviously it kind of caused a scene. Eventually they were allowed on the stage, and one by one they were allowed to speak, to speak and share their voice. And what I got out of what they shared, the main message that they shared was stop and think. Stop and think. Stop and think, because you're blindly following a movement that is creating, repeating, duplicating the same oppressive systems that have gotten us to the need to heal in the first place, have gotten us to this mental health crisis, to this separation crisis, to this hyper-individualistic crisis that we have in the world. And Stop and think before you blindly follow it, number one. And then number two, include us in the conversation. Where are we? Where's our representation? Where's our voice? We want a seat at the table too. And, you know, so this was obviously a big message. And again, this is how I interpreted it. And, you know, again, I'm thinking again about the community, again, throughout all the different, again, these are the talks that I chose to attend. Again, there were hundreds of talks, literally hundreds of talks, hundreds of presentations. I just so happened to stumble into, you know, the ones that were led by marginalized communities, and they all spoke of diversity or lack of diversity, lack of accessibility, lack of exclusion, and the need to get into right relationship. Okay. And then I was thinking to myself, you know, like MAPS, huge organization doing God's work, shaping the culture. Everyone literally is following their model. Okay. How inclusive are they? You know, I know that I've gone through the MDMA training. I've done some, you know, some of the modules myself, and I know that they attempt to include and provide scholarship to BIPOCs. But, you know, how about, and I don't know if this is already happening or not. This is just my observation. Like, what can we do to support? This is just an idea. You know, what if, you know, all these trainings, you know, the full, maybe, is there a possibility to include full scholarships to indigenous people, but not just have the scholarships and then like have them wait for, you know, the tribes to reach out to MAPS, but go ahead and directly attempt to create that right relationship, to directly make outreach efforts to these communities, to bring them on board, to include them in the roundtable, and include them in these treatment models. Okay, provide the full scholarships to them. You know, one of the beautiful things that was said on the panels by Grandma Mona was, learn to appreciate, not appropriate. Okay, you can appreciate our models, you can appreciate our shamanic ways, you can appreciate the medicine, but it's okay also, just like a parent says, no, you're not ready to a child and kind of gives them a slap on the hand when they feel like they're doing something dangerous. They want us to respect that. Okay, you can appreciate from afar and not just appropriate everything you see. This is colonialism. Okay, and this is what they're saying. You're colonializing us. Call it what you want, call it a renaissance. There is no renaissance here because it doesn't include everyone. Okay, it's still very exclusionary. I hope I said that right. Exclusive. So number one, that's what the community is hungry for, inclusion and right relationship. And number two, and this was such a beautiful surprise for me. You know, again, I went in with intention. I didn't go into work. I didn't like submit any. Everyone, like every person I met was like, are you talking? Are you speaking? Are you teaching? I said, you know, I'm not this time. I didn't have the bandwidth. I literally just had an intention to go and connect with my people. I wanted to meet. I wanted to see what people were up to. I arrived open. You know, on the way out of the airplane, I literally like took a moment to just kind of curate my energetic signature of how I want to show up into this conference. And like a beautiful and totally unexpected outcome for me from the conference was everywhere I went, literally everywhere, in the conference hall, on the street, like blocks away, just like waiting for an Uber. Countless people, mostly women, not only, but a lot of women, a lot of sisters were coming up to me, saying hello, greeting, giving hugs, and gave me so much love, gave me so much appreciation. And, you know, I met a lot of my students from like across from my different offerings that I had. And also a lot of people that I've never met, people that said, oh, I received your newsletters. Oh, I see you on the Instagrams. Oh, it was amazing, and just loving on me so much, giving me so much love, so much gratitude for my work. And in these conversations, these were like completely unexpected for me. We had like the deepest conversations with these sisters that were like looking me in the eye, sharing about their work. Like I saw the passion, I saw like how hungry they were for mirroring. Like I literally felt like they wanted to see themselves through me. And of course, just observing that made me see, when you create stuff, when you're in my position over the years, like when you're in the work, I don't think about stuff like that. I'm just like, I'm doing stuff. And then like, I get like these affirmations, and like, I don't necessarily know like how widespread, I can imagine, but I don't know. I don't have like any proof of how like widespread my work is, what impact I'm making. I create stuff, I post it on Instagram. Who knows like who's seeing it, right? But like these women were like, I felt like they were like looking up through me to me and wanting me to mirror them back. And I remember like one moment specifically of meeting this beautiful, brilliant woman named Emily. And I've heard her name. We may even be Facebook friends, I don't know, but we've never had an actual exchange. And I learned from Emily that she is the founder of the Psychedelic Pharmacists Association. And those of you that know me know exactly who I've been married to, and the brilliant work that he does. And I was just like, how is it possible that I don't know about this woman and like what she has created? Like, how is this possible? Like, this woman has created a Psychedelic Pharmacists Association. This is fucking huge. This woman is shaping the medical system. And I like witnessed that, and like also especially like witnessed my confusion with that, and also a little bit of not anger, but like I felt something was triggering me in that, like it just didn't feel right for me, that I wasn't aware of her and that she's not getting the recognition she deserves. So I felt through these interactions with these women, the hunger for connection, the hunger for sisterhood, the hunger, like literally they were looking at, it's like they were looking at me to give them permission to be bold and daring. And that's why they were thanking me. And they were like hungry to be recognized for their efforts and for the confidence. Basically, like they wanted the confidence to show up without apology, and the confidence to unleash the divine feminine. And this was my second takeaway, is that we need grassroots leadership models for the feminine. That we know this. If you're a medicine person, if you've been sitting with the plants, you know very well that the message of the plants for a long time now has been that the feminine needs to rise, that only when the feminine rises, only when we allow the feminine to rise, we lift her up, we raise her up, there's going to be a feminine takeover, and the world will come into balance and integration. This is going to be the union of the eagle and the condor. The feminine will save the world. The feminine is here to save the planet. This is the return to nature, the return to Pachamama. And this is what I saw in all the interactions of these women, is like the hunger that my sisters have, again, for this mirroring, for this modeling, for these safe spaces. Oh, come on, not now. Let me know if you can't hear me. Someone just started mowing the lawn. Can you still hear me okay? Let me know. Okay, awesome. Thanks, Balam. Hey, Balam, what's up? Okay, so basically, these are the two themes that I observed. And then the most important messages of the conference, and, I think in the invitation I wrote, there were two messages that I got from indigenous, but then when I sat down to prepare, I was like, there were so many other messages, I need to include them. So some of these are from the indigenous, and then some of them are just from other stuff that I picked up on. But here are my main takeaways from the conference and the most important messages that I want to communicate with you guys, okay? Number one, right relationship to oneself or with oneself. Right relationship with oneself, meaning when you're in right relationship with yourself, when you have that reality within you, only then can we have right relationship with the transpersonal, with that which is beyond the self, with that which is outside of the self. Okay, this entire conference was about right relationship, returning to right relationship. And, you know, I'm an integration person, I'm an integration teacher. My entire journey has been about how can I get to know myself better so I can be in harmony within myself, because I know that only when I have harmony within myself, then that internal harmonious reality will project outwards as a harmonious external reality. When we are integrated, then the world, the reality of our world will be integrated. When we're in harmony, everything else in our outside world will be in harmony as well. This is how we return to right relationship. So our systems must mirror nature. Okay, integrate with nature. When we go against nature, we go against ourselves. We are of the earth, we are natural beings. We must learn to be a mirror to nature, and that's how we replicate and continue that pattern of sacred geometry that is created by divine source. And the only way to do that is to get to know oneself, to do your integration work. Okay, it's not enough to just, you know, go into medicine work, go sit in ceremonies, and then you're not actually taking the time to sit at home and do the hard work of actually sitting with yourself without any medicine and looking at yourself, changing your habits, having difficult conversations, changing your attitude and behavior, and then getting out there and sharing that medicine with a community and creating community. So basically, like, right relationship with oneself equals right relationship with everything else equals integration. Okay, so that's probably the most important message of the conference, which, again, if you're in my integration sphere, you know that this is exactly what I speak to and what I work towards, is that for everyone to return to harmony within themselves. Number 2, accessibility must be incorporated into the model of organizations and influencers that are shaping the psychedelic renaissance. Okay, it must be incorporated. And when I mean by that, you know, in my programs, you know, accessibility for me has always been my North Star. You know, I have programs that are over $10,000. And I'll speak about that in a minute, about what is about to change with that. But there are a lot of money because of business purposes. And I always think about how can I create more accessibility? So the solutions that I found were create different scholarship rates, return some of the money to the community. There is a set amount that, you know, I contribute back to organizations, retreat centers, the arts, community work. So I cycle, like basically like wealth distribution is built into my model. So these are some things that I do to incorporate accessibility into my business models, right? And I would love to see this. And again, maybe this is already happening. As mentioned, this is just a reflection. Maybe they're already doing this, but I would love MAPS as the person, the world's largest organization, literally, that is shaping our culture. And, you know, maybe those of you that are on the call, I'm going to guess you've been probably doing medicine work for a long time. You are not fresh, fresh out of ceremony. I'm just going to guess that. You know, but there are a lot of people that came to the MAPS conference, and this is literally their gateway. They hear at school, they hear it's like coming into therapeutic practices, like tons of therapists that have never ever had psychedelic experiences before, but they hear that this is like the next thing, and then they come to these conferences and they learn everything through MAPS's eyes, right? And MAPS's influence. And you know, basically, like the accessibility models cannot be left as an afterthought. They need to be built into the influencing structures. So this is my second important message of the conference. Number 3, and this is probably my favorite one. When you have done medicine work, you can no longer tolerate hierarchical systems. You can no longer tolerate authority. You can no longer tolerate that there are different levels of systems in the world, in the environment, man over nature. You can no longer tolerate this, okay? And again, this goes back to the idea of accessibility and inclusivity, that we all need to sit in the round table, okay? So yeah, completely like countercultural, and I love this one. I love this one. Again, when you've done enough medicine work, you can no longer tolerate hierarchical systems. And then number 4, most important message of the conference is the divine feminine is ready to rise. Ready to rise, my brothers and sisters. And this is a joint effort, okay? This is a joint effort on behalf of all of us. You know, I've had like one of the most beautiful gifts I've ever received from a man that's on the conscious path, that we sat in ceremony together. And the first thing he did in the ceremony was literally he bowed at my feet, and said that he's the divine masculine at my service, and he's there to hold the space and show up in a specific way. So myself as the channel of the divine feminine feel safe enough to rise. And my brothers, this is why I know a lot of you that are here are like doing such deep and sacred work, and I want to honor you and thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for aiming to return the right relationship with the healthy divine masculine. I know it's tough. There are so many great organizations out there. My brothers from Sacred Sons, maybe you're hearing this, but I just want to honor the divine sacred masculine for showing up in the way that they are to allow the sacred feminine to rise. Again, so this is a joint effort, okay, Eagle and Condor. And for my sisters, okay, so now, you know, I want to share specifically how I'm taking these lessons and integrating them into my own practice, my integration practice, into my creative process, and into my business to support our community. By the way, I'm not reading anything that's happening in the chat. But I look at it and I will look at it in just a minute. We're just about almost at the end of the call. So here's how I'm taking all these lessons, again, in really important messages. Right relationship. Let's talk about that first. Well, we actually did talk about that. So, you know, returning to right relationship with the transpersonal first and foremost begins with ourselves. Okay. Okay, I'll get back to that in a minute. I want to first go into accessibility and diversity, okay? Because for me, you know, as mentioned, I've been in the field like full-time psychedelic entrepreneur, visionary, harm reduction advocate, creative educator for 8 years now, okay? And I've played around a lot. I literally got started and, you know, offering everything for free, integration coaching for free, integration circles for free, everything for free or by donation in the back of a tiny store in Los Angeles, all the way to making the journey of multi-six figures, multiple organizations, multiple businesses. Sorry, it's so loud. I hope you can hear me. You know, and like the idea of accessibility, you know, I'm also the creator of a nonprofit in Los Angeles, right? Nonprofit Psychedelia Integration. Okay, you don't? Awesome. Thanks, Balam. Psychedelia Integration started as a communal nonprofit in January 2017, where the essence of that of this nonprofit was to create community, to bring people together, to call in the others, to create safe spaces, and also to create an integration fund that specifically is would make psychedelic therapy and integration accessible to people of marginalized communities, BIPOCs, immigrants, veterans, and LGBTQ+. Okay, so this has been from the beginning, from day one, this accessibility has been my North Star. You know, obviously, as my business has grown, my operations grew, I grew. You know, I've learned a lot about I'm a psychedelic woman that turned into a business owner. Okay. Um, and it's been a journey learning the business ways for sure, especially trying to, do things different, to being mindful of not creating the same oppressive systems, to not recreate capitalism. And there was been some difficulty, like I've learned that, there's intentions, but then there's reality. Like I've literally, even like my schools that have generated multiple six figures a year, like at the end of the year, believe it or not, after like paying the team, paying the scholarships, returning to the community, doing all of that, I was left with a negative in the bank as the creator. And I know that sounds bizarre, but this is, it takes a lot of money to uphold businesses like in the ways that we're trying to do, especially when you don't have a lot of experience and you're learning as you go. And but here's like what the decision that I've made based on the conference. Okay, because accessibility is so important to me, because I've recently launched my Play School of Integration and Soulpreneurship, my 12-month certificate program. We opened registration again in last month, and it's supposed to be starting in a couple of weeks. And the price this year is actually, it's not that high, it's actually lower than what it was last year, but still it's over $10,000, right? There's still scholarships, but it's over $10,000. And I know that that's a lot of money, even if it's completely worth it, even if this is the amount of money that's needed to uphold and provide a program like this. Again, for me to pay the team, to get all the systems going, it costs me as a creator, as a business owner, money. But I know, and at the same time, I recognize it's a lot of money for people. So here's like how I decided to integrate this idea is I decided that from this moment, well, it doesn't matter what time it is, but from this moment that I'm announcing it, so my Play School, my certificate program is going down. I think the original price was 14,000 this year, or 13, something like that. But I decided to lower the price of the program across the board to 9,500. Okay. 9,500. And then when you register, you just don't even look like if there's scholarships or this and that. It's 9,500 across the board for everyone. That's number one. Number two, for every 6 people that register to the certificate program, again, it's 1 year of psychedelic integration, double certification and coaching and guiding and sacred business. For every 6 people that register to the program and of course get accepted, I'm going to offer 1 full scholarship to an indigenous or Afro applicant. So 1 full ride for every 6 people that register to the Psych Soul Play School. And by the way, the program is on my website, www.psychsoul.com/training. And we are starting in July. And then number 3, I'm looking to bring in an indigenous elder to present in the program so we can include their teachings, include them in the roundtable, and spread their wisdom. Okay, I really want to include that. And I'm on the lookout now and looking for a person like that so that we can include them and of course support them. I remember one time I actually made that ask on social media for people to maybe connect me with indigenous voices so I can include them in my program. And one of the first questions was, are you going to pay them? I was like, of course I'm going to pay them. Like, what kind of a question is that? But then it made me think that maybe not everyone would pay these people. And again, tokenize them. And I'm really saddened to even think about that. But anyhow, this is just one thing that I want to do. Thanks for joining, guys, on the Insta. I'm live streaming on Zoom right now on Facebook. So this is why I'm looking this way. So this is what I want to do. So these are the 3 things, again, for accessibility and inclusivity. Again, my Play School now is $9,500 across the board for everyone. So it's like a $5,000 reduction, which is crazy, but I want to do this. And then for every 6 people that register, I'm offering 1 full ride scholarship to an indigenous or Afro applicant. Another response to the my lesson about hierarchical systems. Again, when you have done enough medicine work, you can no longer tolerate hierarchy. So here's some big news for you. And this is something that like I immediately felt this in the conference. I made the decision while I was there already. So I have the certification program. I've actually been the first year-long in psychedelic integration certification therapy. Probably in the world. I started it in January 2020, and it's an amazing program. I'm really glad of what I've created. And then at the same time, I've had, in the back of my mind for at least a year now, maybe a year and a half, I'm like, I don't know if I want to run a certification, because for me, like I can realize and appreciate the value of certification, ensuring a standard of care. And then I'm also seeing how it's a type of gatekeeping, and it's a type, like, yeah, how about all these people, so many people that have been doing the groundwork for decades, guiding people, holding people in deep processes, leading people, and they don't have the money for certification, or they don't want to buy into it. But basically, like, all this wisdom is getting left behind for what? For people that have money, that are able to get certified, and then they're going to be the ones that are going to be certified by MAPS or whatever, right? And anyhow, I've noticed that in the last year and a half, a part of me has been resisting certifying people. I've been becoming resistant to certification, because I feel like it's gatekeeping a lot of wisdom, and I can't support that anymore. So, and also, as mentioned, the cost of the programs are too high. They're too high. And again, there is value in long-term programs. Obviously, I believe in long-term training so much. I do believe that only a person that has been in a long-term integration process can actually offer integration support. But I think we are putting too much emphasis on a piece of paper, more so than the actual, like, direct experience and knowledge and medicine of people. And I want to contribute to shifting that dynamic. So I've decided that this certification that is, again, I've already launched it. People are registering. It's going to be my last run of the play school this year, you guys. So yeah, July is going to be my last offering of the Psych Soul Play School integration therapy program. And with that, and this takes me to my final, and I know, by the way, I'm not seeing the comments, but I'm seeing some of you commenting. Some of you guys that are on here have been students in my programs. The value of them. And again, I'm a person that obviously, like, I'm a medicine person. I do my integration work. I continue to grow. I continue to change. My understanding of the field continues to expand. And this is part of the great, one of the biggest challenges of being a visionary in the field is you have to keep looking at what is needed, and looking at yourself. And, I'm not going to lie, like, it took me fucking years and a lot of really hard work to create this school. It cost me my health, it cost me my family, it cost me a lot. But I know with that I need to keep going, and I want to be in integrity with my own medicine and what I have to offer. So I'm going to remain true to myself, and in my doing that, I'm hoping to model to people. And again, you guys are, if you've been on my audience for a long time, you know that I always attempt to just be as transparent as possible about my process, about my journey, to share exactly what it feels like, being a leader in these times. And yeah, I hope that, this communication is inspiring you. Again, don't be too attached to anything. The field is changing. And also, if you are interested in being a part of the program for its final run, then this will be the last chance that you can do so and learn psychedelic integration therapy with me in this way. And then my final, final message of the conference, the Divine Feminine Takeover, okay? And this is what I'm so stoked about, okay? And this is combining also the right relationship lesson. So the Divine Feminine is ready to rise, and we are all returning to right relationship with ourselves. And this is the most important thing I'm taking away from the conference. And my probably my biggest spark, my biggest inspiration. Hey guys, hey Pura Vida. My biggest inspiration and my biggest creation that I created while I was in the conference is basically through all these conversations and like having with my sisters, and again what I felt was being asked of me, what they were literally asking me, spelling it out for me. Here is what we need. So I decided to create a psychedelic sister leadership circle, leadership program, specifically with a focus on knowledge of oneself, with self-love, of discovering what we stand for as women. Okay, this has been the journey I've been on in the last year, since, Ben and I separated, moved to Costa Rica, lost my community. My work is changing. Everything is changing for me, like literally almost nothing in my life. Oh, thank God they stopped the mowing. Literally almost nothing in my life has remained the same. And last summer, I took a vow. I took an oath with myself. I said, I'm starting like I'm a single mom. I feel like I'm starting my life over again. Being single, I feel like this is a really good opportunity for me to get to know myself. I decided last summer that this year was going to be dedicated for me to get to know myself. I want to know who this Cherie human is, but not just the human. I want to know what her codes are. I want to know what makes her. I want to know what her values are. I want to know who she is. I want to know what she stands for, she, her spirit. And I'm going to dedicate my entire year to that. And it's funny because on the way to Psychedelic Science on the airplane, I was kind of, reflecting in my journal about my intentions for the conference and this and that. And I reflected on that, and again, I was preparing my values, who I am, what work I do, what projects I'm interested in, what my skill sets are, how I'm interested in contributing, why I'm doing all of this, what's my legacy. And I made that list, and all of a sudden, I went back to, again, exactly a year ago, last summer, when I made that intention of like getting to know myself as a woman and my building blocks. And I saw that it all came true. And this, at that moment, I was washed with so much self-love, self-reverence, appreciation for the journey, appreciation for my human. It's like my human is going, like all humans, going through some trials and tribulations, and has like really, with all due respect to, the limitless visionary mind, and to the fact that we're like playing in this really cool field of psychedelics, and we have cool friends and this and that. But at the end of the day, we're humans walking this earth just like everyone else. And my human is dealing with a lot of shit, just like everyone else. And, I just had to give props to that woman, that woman human that didn't give up and got to where she is. And I started loving on her so much. And I just, at that moment, was inspired. I felt like, please God, if only every woman in the world can feel this level of self-conviction, self-love, self-confidence, like if every woman in the world can get behind herself, if every woman in the world can get to know herself so deeply that she can get behind herself, be her own best friend, be her biggest supporter, her biggest ally, have the confidence to show up in this way, be so connected to her intuition, to her divine source, be so convicted in who she is and in her medicine. Imagine what the feminine leadership rising is going to do to the planet. And based on this, I created this container that again was inspired through the conversations. So again, like the spark, and then like this container that was inspired by the conversations I had with all my sisters that again were just thirsty for modeling, for sisterhood, for a safe space. Like literally, like where do the leaders go to heal? Where do we as leaders go to get support? Where do we as leaders, I mean, I will tell you, as a person, as a public person, that apparently like even more people than I ever realized know who I am. Like they just feel free to just stop me on the street, like cold, complete stranger, just stop me cold on the street and tell me how much they love me. Like people know me and I don't even know them. And they know, like, I'm also, again, I share, like, I'm not like coy here. Like I know exactly what I share, and I know like the level of transparency and vulnerability I have. And with that, like, if only everyone can see us in this way. But more importantly than that, if we can see ourselves in this way, exactly as other people see us, what will this do to the divine feminine rising, and what will this do to the planet? Again, coming into right relationship with ourselves so we can come into right relationship with the planet. So for this reason, I created my new container, the Psychedelic Soul, Woman Rising. This is literally a program for women who are wanting to do amazing things in the world, that want their tribe, that want their sisterhood, that need a safe space. So this is what I was saying earlier, like as a leader, I'm always conscious about, what if I'm going to go to a circle and see like these people there? Well, I'm not always, but sometimes I think about that, like how deep can I go in my own healing? Just like at open spaces of people of all different levels, it's different when you're a public person and also are in a certain level of engagement with the medicine. So basically, I just really I felt really called to create the safe space for women, rising psychedelic women, to heal women, specifically women. Sorry, guys, I know you have your own spaces. Go to Sacred Sons, tell them I said hi, they're amazing. I wanted, we don't have Sacred Sisters. And I spoke to one of the founders of Sacred Sons. I said, I think we need to replicate this into Sacred Sisters, okay? But until then, we need, this is what I'm creating. So if you're a woman and entheogens have drastically changed your lives, which I know that they have because you're here, and you've chosen to step up and contribute to the healing of the planet and bringing more source consciousness to the planet, you chose to be of service to the psychedelic renaissance, and you've made your first steps in your psychedelic service career. So I'm talking to my sisters who are, maybe you're pivoting your private therapy practice. Maybe you're pivoting your nursing practice. You're getting trained. Maybe you're already working with clients. You're creating communities. You are making your first steps. You're serving with your heart and your soul, and you're showing up with your people, and you're creating solutions. But I also know, again, as a woman that's been doing this for 8 years, I know how difficult it is. Again, it can be difficult to be in conscious leadership at this time. It's difficult to put yourself on the front lines of the psychedelic revival and feel completely under-resourced. We get burned out. Sometimes we're not sure, there's so much happening at the same time. We're not sure what direction to take. Things are rapidly changing. There's expansion of services and competition, where it's so overwhelming to just witness all these changes. And a lot of us women, we work so hard. We literally, I was told this by one of my students recently. She said, Shiri, you're not getting the recognition you deserve for your efforts. And it reminded me of the conversation I had with the founder of the Psychedelic Pharmacist Association. Why is this woman not front row center? And why is she not, it's not just about acknowledgement. It's about articulating specifically what the feminine is able to do and disrupting the oppressive systems of the white males, which again, the white male, we'll just keep on seeing the white male. Sorry, guys. Sorry, not sorry though. The white male is again leading the psychedelic renaissance. And I want to see a woman at the forefront. Okay. I want to see the women, the medicine women, the community leaders. I want to see the women that literally leave their babies with a babysitter, drive for an hour and a half in the middle of the fucking night across town to go lead a free integration circle. And by the way, this is what I did. Okay. I had an infant daughter. I think she was 4 or 5 months old, 6 months old. I left her with my husband to drive an hour and a half across Los Angeles because I had an integration circle to lead. Literally stopping in the side of the road in the middle of the night crying because I my body needed to be with my baby. I was a new mom, and then I had to make a choice. And back then, I was so committed and devoted to the psychedelic movement. That was a choice that I made, is to actually not go back home, not turn around, but to go across town and to lead that integration circle like I said I would, because I committed to that. But this has remained with me 5 years later. I'm like, So this is like the level of devotion that women have. Okay, because we see how fucked up the planet is, and we see how misaligned a lot of these systems are. And it's mothers that are going to change the world. It's women that are going to change the world. It's women that are connected with all source of life, with Mother Nature. We are givers of life. We are creators. We are the ones that are here to change the world. And if anyone else needs an affirmation for this, go sit with ayahuasca and see what she tells you about that. Okay. But it's women. And I decided that I want to support women. And I want to help women rise. I've created, thankfully, with the privilege, a lot of leaders over the years. A lot of them came over to me at Psychedelic Science and hugged me and thanked me for changing their life. And I'm so grateful to have been able to do that. And now I want to concentrate on my sisters and my women and to do the exact same thing for them. So again, if you're a woman, again, like maybe you walked in the conference and you literally felt like you wish you wanted to present your knowledge at the conference, but you were like debilitated by the thought of public speaking. Okay. Maybe you're hesitant to speak up exactly for what you believe in. Maybe you're not entirely clear on what you stand for. That's okay. This is part of the journey. And you need like time and space to clarify that and guidance on how to clarify that. Maybe you want to have, check this out. A lot of us like want to have deep and really important conversations about ethics, about money, about sustainability as leaders, as business owners in the psychedelic field. But, more often than not, we have our heads bitten off. When we're afraid to literally bring up the topic of money and sustainability in that regard. Without having, all these like whatever leftist or supposed like leftist organizations canceling us on social fucking media, and why is that? Why is there this cancel culture that, by the way, is dominated by unfortunately the archetype of the wounded divine masculine, the wounded masculine that unfortunately is too often being projected through the white male human. I'm sorry, we all need to do our healing work. And part of healing work is actually having difficult conversations and talking about shadow or stuff that is culturally considered as shadow. We have a big shadow around money in the psychedelic renaissance. And as women, anyone should have the ability to have a conversation around this. Okay, so I want to make the space for women, safe space for women to have these conversations. Okay. So again, if you're looking for a place where you can literally just put down your professional persona to be fully and authentically you without being judged, because as leaders, we're always expected to show up as leaders. And that can be really daunting. And this is, goes back to my question, where do leaders go to heal without being where can we just put down our mask for just a few minutes so we can look at ourselves authentically and do our work? So basically, I'm calling all the women that are so busy and dedicated to creating safe healing spaces for others that they don't have a safe healing spaces for them. Okay, a place where you can let go and heal yourself. So first and foremost, I salute you, especially if you're still here with me on the call. Thank you so much for staying and listening to my soapbox. I really want to invite you. So this program, again, that literally was birthed in Psychedelic Science, and Spirit woke me up this morning. You got to get on, you got to just have open up the conversation, get online, share your findings, and invite people to join. I'm here in service to my psychedelic sisters. I'm pivoting my entire business to do this. Again, those of you that are here to learn about my integration certificate program, you're welcome to join. We're starting in July, psychedsoul.com/training. You'll find the application there. You'll find an informational session there. The price of the program is going to be $9,500 across the board. And if you're a woman that you're more interested, or maybe you already have the skill sets, or you know, like the play school is very like skill set oriented. You receive multiple skill sets. You receive an integration therapy skill set, a coaching skill set, professional level skill sets, sacred business skill sets. And then there's also an experiential component where you get to go through my integration method, and it's still very skill set oriented. Okay, so it's a transformational experience, personal transformational self-development experience, and you get to learn how to be a professional. For my psychedelic sisters, the Psychedelic Soul program, which is, by the way, a 6-month program, it's only for my sisters, womb carrying sisters. We are going to have an integration element there for sure, because, you know, we're all showing up to medicine. We want, I'm going to share my method for psychedelic integration, because we're all going to be doing our all work in there together. And there is going to be, an element of creating the space for creative leadership, for deep soul aligned conversations, for creative play, for creative fun. We're going to be talking of not just about, less about, harm reduction, yes, education, yes, but more about the qualities of the feminine leadership rising. If you're hungry for, again, safe, non-judgmental place to do your work through the feminine mystery, to get to know the ebbs and flows and trenches of your soul. If you're looking for a place to gain crystalline clarity on your purpose, on your greater mission, on your values, on your why, I have the most incredible methods for that. I've been invested in the most incredible programs myself with some incredible teachers, and I'm so excited to share what I've learned with you. Really, like, I'm inviting women into my program, women that, I think like this will just like completely, like the essence of this program is for you to discover what you stand for as a woman, and then developing the outright confidence, bold ass sass to stand for it. Okay. Owning the full spectrum multidimensionality that you are, gracefully bridging your limitless visionary creatrix archetype with your living humanity. And this is so important. This has been my work over the last 8 years, you know, where we are, you know, we're, how can I say this? We're creators, we're leaders, we're trainers, we're educators, we're this and that. But at the end of the day, we have a household to run, okay? Children to birth, children to raise, you know, caring for our family. We're sitting in ceremonies, we're doing, you know, we have so many responsibilities, okay, as human women, okay? And then we're, as psychedelic initiators, visionaries, we're also chasing the dream of, you know, living a balanced and meaningful and free life, while owning up to the mounting responsibilities of us as psychedelic leaders. Okay, so this is the vortex I've been swirling in for 8 years, and I've like worked very diligently to download and embody the codes for my psychedelic sisters, so you don't have to take 8 years to go through what I went through, but you can, you know, I could just like share what I know, and then I can help lift you up. Join us, okay? This is for my tribe of psychedelic soul sisters, and the way to get into this program is going to be, I'll tell you, because I worked on the page just last night into the night. I just could not wait anymore. If you go to psychsoul.com/psychedelic-soul. So those of you who are live, I'm just going to put it in the chat for you so it's easy for you to click. And then you'll find the application there. And we are starting in July. Okay. We're starting in July. And those of you who are maybe like not fitting the description of the women, and you want to go into the last round of the play school, it's psychsoul.com/training. Also, here is the link for that. The application is there as well. What else? What else can I share with you guys? one last thing before we log off for today. So I want to share that this program, the Psychedelic Soul program for women's leadership, or the Rising Psychedelic Woman, this program came to life only because I yearned to be free. Okay. I yearned to be free in the sense of I've been so dedicated for all these years to my clients' freedom, okay, to helping my clients gain knowledge about themselves, gain confidence in their psychedelic ways, teach them how to heal themselves, and teach themselves how to set themselves free. And watching their success and their freedom is what gave me meaning. But I had no freedom to be me or to enjoy my life. Again, when I say that, you know, when you're a psychedelic leader and just a person, again, I never even considered myself to be a leader. This is something that just came into my awareness a couple of years ago. When I had like a zoom out kind of moment and like realized that actually people look to what I'm saying, and I need to be more cautious, you know, like I feel like I'm representing something, and I need to cultivate that awareness and dialogue with seeing that what comes out of my mouth has impact. And what do I want, again, what do I want to stand for? What do I want to share? But, you know, through this time, I was so devoted to the psychedelic education ways and the entrepreneurial ways that I literally, again, I didn't know how to be full. I didn't have the confidence to be fully authentic and like share myself fully. So I didn't feel like I was free. And basically it took me 8 years of hardcore psychedelic service, of working myself to the goddamn bone, to help others see themselves, but also to just last year to just decide to press pause on the world. Again, like eliminating, as you know, like my family has been separated, moved to Costa Rica, left my community. I pressed a lot of pause buttons on my business and just like literally started life over again. I literally just wanted to eliminate all distractions so I could look myself in the eye. And basically I yearned to be in silence, and so I could hear my own song. And only, you know, so basically so I could reclaim myself as a wild guardian of the universe, a cosmic limitless creatrix, a spirit-led woman that knows who she is, okay? Knows who she is and what she stands for. And not just that, but has the confidence to stand up for that as my mission purpose, as my service. Again, what values do I stand for? What am I here to represent? What's my message? And then stand behind that. And as mentioned, you know, I recently, after like all these years and on the flight to Denver, I looked myself in the eye and like, again, I like was madly in love with what I saw. And this is a lot for me to say, by the way, because I've always struggled with my self-image, my body image, just like had very traumatic upbringing, and it's been a journey for me of self-love. And I was madly in love with what I saw. And I thought about it this morning. Wow, look at this fucking gorgeous living ass goddess walking the earth plane, caring for the earth, caring for the people, creating, fucking shifting paradigms. I had people in the conference come to me, you know, at like one of my gifts, and I've been like reflected this in the conference is, and this is my superpower, is that I'm able to look at people and see their quantum version of like what they're here to do and what they can create. Like I can see their highest self and what they're here to create. And then I spell that out for them. And I have like very strong prayer. My words are fucking magic spells. And then I say that, and then it happens. And I had people in the conference, literally a woman that I know, an emerging psychedelic leader, Lola from Zameen podcast, the first podcast in Farsi for psychedelics. She came to me. We had, you know, a few months ago, I was on her podcast, and I did that magic spell to her. I basically like saw her. I told her, here's what you're here to do. Here's how to do it. You did it. Okay. And she came to me at the conference and she said, who are you? Everything you said I've done. Everything has been created. And who are you? Why are you, how can you do that? And again, this is not the first time I've done this before. Like, my word fucking catalyzes new paradigms. Okay. And I fully own that. And I don't just help people shift their life. I literally help shift realities. And I fully stand behind that. And if you're here witnessing me and my total vanity, thank you for being here. But this is just the level of my conviction. But I see that, and I see myself, and literally, like, I fell at, I fall at my own, I'm at the place where I'm falling at my own feet. And I'm saying this because my wish for every single woman, every single sister, is to experience this depth of self-ownership, of self-reverence, to see herself as a goddess walking the earth that is able to shift paradigms, to have that level of confidence and conviction, because this level of integration, internal integration, internal harmony is what is going to create external integration, external harmony, right relationship with the planet, bringing the planet back to harmony. And this is my greater vision. And I'm here to support my women in doing that, because only when a woman has that level of integration and harmony within herself, only then is she going to get out into the world and take a stand for the life of her dreams and the reality that she herself believes in. And only then we are all going to be free. So this is what I have to share for today. And those of you who are still online, thank you. I love you. I'm just going to do a very quick skim of the chat. If anyone has any questions before we log off for today, thank you so much for tuning in, sharing your opinions in the chat. Let me see what is being said in the chat right now. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Juliana is saying, I'm indigenous and I cannot afford any trainings to be able to get skills to help my community. Exactly. This is exactly what I observed. I'm in grad school and having to apply for food stamps because my internship doesn't allow me to work more than 20 hours a week. I feel for you, Juliana. Yes. And I'm so sorry that this is your situation. I pray that you are well resourced so you can return to your community as a fortified woman and offer the support and service and medicine you have. Okay, I'm just seeing if there's anything else. Thank you. Anne-Marie saying, this is a brilliant sharing. I'm digging everything you're saying, 100%. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. Let's see. Hey guys, we're just finishing our live here. I'm taking any questions. Those of you on Instagram, do you have any questions? If you watch me the whole way through, let's see. Let's see. Georgia's saying 2 nuts and bolts challenges. 1, all these agents are criminalized. 2, the model of emancipation of these agents from criminalization falls into the clutches of monetizing them, then crippling impediment to science and medicine that has destroyed healthcare access and wellness. As a parallel, opiates and street drugs turn into Sackler's profiteering, are psychedelics becoming another monetized product? I'm going to let you answer that. I think I've said what I had to say. Amen. Thank you. Amen. Thank you. Okay, Anne-Marie is saying, can we go back to the opening statements of indigenous leadership, asking the movement to stop altogether? Yes, I can share more about that very quickly. So basically, they were, again, here are some of the things they said. That they're resisting to the so-called Renaissance because it's replicating. But again, I just want to say this is my interpretation. They did flat out say that they are resisting this Renaissance. This was very clear. And my interpretation was because it's replicating ill, hyper-individualistic, non-inclusive, and oppressive systems. This was basically the theme of this particular workshop, as well as this is what the protesters exactly were saying at the closing ceremony. They're saying that their consent for use of medicine is not being granted, that mushrooms are being exploited, and the current relationships that we're forming with the land and mushrooms are making the medicine itself sick, that we don't know what psilocybin is, we as in they, meaning they said, we don't know what psilocybin is, we know what the sacred mushroom is. And one more thing that they said was about sustainability that I loved. Grandma Mona was talking about how, you know, there are people that are thinking about like solutions for sustainability. And she gave an example of a person that built a farm for peyote. Okay. And she said, well, if you want sustainability, instead of building a farm, how about you care for the land where the peyote is already growing? Okay. So I thought that was brilliant. Let's see, final. Okay, Nicole is asking, can you confirm the intake deadline for the last offering of the Play School? Thank you for all of this, Sherry. You're welcome, Nicole. So we are starting in July. I think right now we're going to start in probably the 3rd week of July is the plan. So the registration is happening right now. Okay. And as mentioned, oh yeah, I did put this in the chat. So if you just go to psychsoul.com/training, you'll see the application, you'll see the informational webinar that I did for all the information about the program, but just disregard the price because I decided to just slash the prices to $9,500 across the board. And as mentioned, for every 6 registrants, people that are accepted into the program, I am announcing a full grant to an Indigenous or Afro BIPOC person to be able to participate in the training. And for the Psychedelic Woman Leadership Program, you just go to psychsoul.com, psychedelic-soul. And that's also starting in July. Aubrey saying you're an inspiration. Thank you for your beautiful spirit. I look forward to learning more about your divine feminine circle. Yeah, sister. I'm so excited to have you on board. Some people are asking about cost of program. This is all on my website. Very easy. Just go in, apply. Samantha, just the application is free. Just apply. And then you'll get the cost of the program, okay? Balam is saying, okay. I wanted to come in and watch what you thought about the protest. I have it all on video, by the way. But I felt like the first person that spoke, I just, you know, it felt like if the message was being communicated in a different way, I feel like a lot of people would have been more receptive to her. People weren't really receptive to the first person that spoke, but yeah, overall the theme was what I shared. Again, just stop and look, stop and think, and don't follow a movement so blindly as you are. Balama saying, I joined to hold space for you because as an Indigenous person, since you did provide me with a scholarship and you've done so much for me, nothing but love and respect for you, Sherry. I love you, Balam. You're welcome. Nicola saying, thank you for confirming and adding the links here for your passionate voice and commitment to inclusivity. Yeah. Thank you, sisters and brothers. I love you. I see that there are no more further questions here. You can always feel free to email us as well, support@psychedsoul.com. Email me. I check the inbox regularly, as does my beautiful assistant, Samaya. Thank you. Those of you who've been watching, I've been streaming on the Instas, on the Zoom, on the Faceland, which I'm going to go check in a minute. But thank you so much for joining the conversation. I hope that it's been inspiring to you, to say the least. Again, we are the creators of the Renaissance, okay? Not MAPS, not any other organization, not the therapist, not the scientist, not anyone from that particular model. I mean, we're all in the same boat. We're all contributing to the Renaissance. We're all praying in our own way. Okay, this is really important. And each of these prayers, who are, they're being communicated in different languages, different disciplines. Let's just look at them as prayers and just recognize that we're all literally sitting in the same ceremonial circle. We're all working towards the same, ultimately, towards the same goal of bringing more light consciousness to the planet. And for that, we can appreciate one another, even if our prayers sound different. And remember, really, like the biggest medicine or the message of the medicines is integration. It's unity. It's for us to come together. It's for us to help each other. It's for us to connect, to go back to the same source, the eagle and the condor. So just remember that, okay? And we'll figure out the way, slow and steady, step by step, we'll figure out the way to create that right relationship within ourselves and with one another. Okay, I love you. Blessings from Pachamama, Costa Rica, and see you very soon. Much, much love, guys. Bye, guys.